My dead cat came home. Let me start by saying I'm an absolute skeptic who has always believed in science and proof. I've never believed in anything paranormal when it comes to the dead, as I've never experienced it in my 32 years of life. Logically, it's always been difficult for me to be able to compute how organisms continue with thought, activity, without the function of the brain and body. I am not religious or spiritual in any way, which is why I am absolutely shook right now and reaching out to this community for insight. I recently said goodbye to my cat, Kitty, who I have had for the last 14 years of my life. She was with me through my 20s, saw major life changes, and the addition of my husband, 2 kids, and 2 more cats. But Kitty was always the first member of my family. She was a one-person type of cat, and I was always her person. We had to put her down because it was time. I have no regrets, and know I did the right thing. I was devastated at first, but she was old, and had mentally been preparing for it. This happened 3 weeks ago, and I've been pretty much over it for the most part. So tonight my husband is at work and I'm putting my 2 daughters to sleep. We do story time before bed. Like I said, I have 2 other cats besides Kitty. Their names are Tong and Fia. Tong loves to join us for story time, but I need to remove him from their room when it's time for bed, because my girls are too excited, infatuated with petting him and stuff to settle down. I remove Tong from the room. I shut the door completely since they tend to paw it open if it's not shut completely. I crawl into bed with my girls, and my 3-year-old points out that, "Oh, Mom, there's still a cat in here." We have a cat window bed, for lack of better words, attached to our window, and the curtains were pulled over it. The sun was setting, so it was an extremely clear and obvious shadow of a cat in the window bed getting comfy and situated in the window bed. I mean, it was moving around. The bed was even making noises. Full-blown cat in the window bed. Well, about 10 minutes later, I kiss my girls the last goodnight and am walking out of the bedroom. When I open the fully closed door, I see Both Tong and Fia laying in front of the door, which is what they do anytime they are locked out. I immediately stop in my tracks in complete confusion, because 10 minutes ago I just had a observation of what I assumed was Fia in the window bed. My daughter was the one who pointed it out, and we both absolutely acknowledged it. Logically, I immediately panicked and wondered if a neighborhood cat or even some other critter somehow got in our house and was using it. This next part is hard to describe, and I feel literally insane saying this. I needed to figure out what the fuck was on the window bed, behind the curtains. I went to the curtain and pulled it open. A white fluff, light thing floated past my face immediately after opening the curtains. At first it looked like a white tuft of fur. Kitty was white, but I tried to look closer and actually catch it. Then it was like it looked like a reflection of some sort. Like when your phone reflects from the sun on the wall. Like a ball of reflection, then it disappeared. It absolutely freaked me the fuck out, and somehow deep down I immediately thought it was Kitty. For nearly an hour after this event, my 2 living cats were acting so weird. They were literally army crawling around the bedroom sniffing around. At one point Tong, who is absolutely terrified of the laundry room, was in there sniffing around for like 15 minutes where Kitty's litter box was. My dad crawled out from under my bed. I was around 6 when it happened. My parents had tucked me in for bed. I live in the rural countryside, so nighttime is very quiet. No sounds of cars. It's usually very peaceful. I was laying on my back when suddenly I heard the sound of long nails scratching the wood under my bed. The reason this incident sticks out to me is because I can still remember the feeling of my heart dropping out my stomach and feeling paralyzed with fear. I was about to call out for my parents when my dad crawled out from under my bed and stood up in the dark looking at me. He said, "You forgot to say your prayers," then walked out of my room. I was understandably shocked. I did not leave my bed afterwards, and must have fallen asleep at some point. My dad would normally tell me to say my prayers before bed, so this seemed like something he would say, but I have no idea what would possess him to hide under my bed. My dad denies ever doing this. I brought it up numerous times over the years, but he has never admitted to doing it. I never really considered, until recently, that he definitely doesn't have nails long enough to make the deep scratching sound I heard. What do you guys think? Maybe I fell asleep and had a vivid dream. I also considered it could be something paranormal. Edit. Thank you all for your input. Stories, they were very creepy themselves. To answer a few questions I saw frequently. No, I can't remember if I asked my parents about the incident the next morning, but since then I have asked repeatedly over the last 20-ish years, and my dad has never owned up to it. I believe at this point that my dad couldn't have done it because 1. My dad likes scary stuff and would absolutely take credit for a prank that scared me so bad. 2. My parents had been gone from my room for probably about 10 minutes before I heard the scratching. It's possible my dad could have stayed behind, but he could not easily fit under my bed without me noticing. 3. He's not really a drinker, so I doubt he was passed out on the floor. It's hard to say, to be honest. My dad has always liked scary stuff, but he says he would never do something that creepy to a 6-year-old or go through the effort of hiding under my bed. You would think after all these years of me asking he would admit to it by now. It was pretty dark in my room, I could really only see his figure, but I assumed it was him and it sounded like him. My mom has no recollection. I actually asked my dad about it again today, and he still claims to not remember it, and he thinks he wouldn't have been able to fit under my bed. I would like to believe it was sleep paralysis like many of you theorized, however that would be my one and only time experiencing sleep paralysis. There's definitely a chance it could have been something more sinister, and it's something I hope to never encounter again. I never believed in paranormal stuff, but I'm actually freaked out right now. I don't believe in any of this paranormal shit. It's currently just before 6 a.m. and I'm laying in bed in a dark room with only the light of my phone. I woke up because I heard something moving in my room, so I grabbed my phone and shined light in the direction of the sound, and there was nothing there. I thought maybe I dreamed the sound, and I tried to go back to sleep. I heard it again, more clearly this time. It sounds kinda like somebody trying to walk softly on the carpet. Not normal steps, but somebody trying to be quiet. I turned my phone light back on and looked again. Nothing. There's obviously a reasonable explanation for this. Nobody is in the room, so something else is making a sound, and my brain is playing tricks on me, making me think it's somebody sneaking on the carpet. I held the light up for a few minutes to see if I could see what was making the noise. The noise didn't happen again. I turned the light back off and decided to scroll on social media for a bit, and if the sound happened again, I could quickly flip the screen to face that direction and see what's making the sound. Almost immediately, when I started looking at my phone instead of in that direction, the noise happened again, so I flipped my phone screen as quick as I could. Nothing. I sat up and turned the bedroom light on and sat on my bed, looking in the direction of the noise, waiting a few minutes to hear it again. Nothing. I turned the light back off and laid back down and immediately heard it again. I pulled out my phone and came here to start typing this. I feel like there has to be a reasonable explanation for this, and maybe coming to a paranormal sub isn't the best place to ask for non-paranormal explanations, but I also think you're the only people who won't immediately dismiss me as making shit up. Well, you're more likely to assume it's paranormal because you want to believe it is. Any other skeptic is going to assume my experience is made up because they want to believe it is. That being said, to add to my fears of this being paranormal, I recently moved in with my mom temporarily. She moved a few times while I was in the military, so this is my first time staying in this house. I never had a room here, but my sister did. My sister went missing October 29th last year, and on December 7th they found her dead in an abandoned house a couple miles away. I'm currently sleeping in what was my sister's room. When we had my sister cremated, we put some of her ashes into necklaces that look like a necklace she used to wear, and her 6 kids, my mom, and myself all have one. I'm wearing mine while I type this. I've been typing for about a half hour and I still keep hearing that noise. Update. I remembered that after my sister was cremated, my mom kept her ashes in a box in her closet for a while, but she said when she went to get clothes from her closet it was really cold, so she moved the ashes. I didn't believe her. That's when she had the necklaces made. When I heard my mom wake up this morning, I went out to tell her what I heard, and before I said anything she said the sound of me opening my door scared her, because when she walked past my room she felt something looking at her from up the stairs across from my room, but when she looked there was nothing there. I told her everything that happened this morning, and she told me she had a few other experiences in this house, so she smudged with sage and had her pastor come bless the house. Thank you for all the responses and suggestions. Lots of people said mice, which makes sense because I'm in Ohio and it's getting cold, so mice are seeking warmth. Someone said to take a picture of the area if I hear it again. Someone else offered me a recording of a Buddhist prayer to help the spirit move on if there is a spirit. Someone said to get an REM detector, and someone said to get a night vision camera. 2 people were just passive-aggressive jerks who seemed offended by me being skeptical, so most of you were kind and helpful, lol. Current plan of attack is to catch alive mouse traps, and if I hear the sound again, take a picture in that direction and play the Buddhist prayer. Cover all my bases. If I don't catch a mouse and I keep hearing things after the prayer, I might look into the other to suggestion. If I do catch a mouse, I might keep it as a pet and name it after my sister because she would think that's hilarious. Thanks again for all the replies.